Hey everyone! Before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more stories, like this one. I didn't organize the celebration to show off or make a point. I did it because no one else stepped up. My parents were nearing their 40th wedding anniversary, and my sister tossed out the idea of a modest gathering, maybe just a family lunch, she suggested in our group chat. My brother responded with a simple thumbs up emoji. Then silence. Weeks went by with no plans, no venue, no effort. So I took charge. For 2 months, I researched yacht charters out of Santa Barbara, eventually booking one with gleaming wooden decks and a private dining area for 30 guests. I arranged for a string and piano ensemble, gentle enough to keep conversations flowing. I secured 3 cases of handpicked wines from a sommelier who knew coastal flavors inside out. For the flowers, I worked with a local florist to recreate my mom's wedding bouquet with white tulips and ranunculus. When I shared the inspiration photo with her, her eyes welled up and I thought it meant something special. The total cost? $18,500. I didn't tell my parents the exact figure, just assured them it was handled. They didn't press for details, and maybe that was my first clue. But back then, I didn't mind. I took time away from my freelance work, managed vendor calls, set up Zoom meetings, and crafted a seating chart to tactfully keep my dad from giving my cousin unwanted financial advice. Every choice was deliberate, not for praise, but because I wanted a moment where we could stand together as equals. Not me as the fixer, the planner, the quiet one who sorts out messes, but just their daughter, fully present. The final bill arrived a week before the event, and I paid it without hesitation. Then almost instantly, my aunt sent a text, her tone light, almost dismissive. By the way, we're keeping the guest list small. You're not on it. I stared at my phone, convinced it was a mix-up, a scheduling error. Then my mom's message followed. It's not personal. Hope you understand. I didn't reply. I didn't call. I just sat there, gripping my phone, trying to recall the last time they saw me as family, not hired help. I kept rereading the text, hoping they'd somehow change if I stared long enough. We're keeping the guest list small. You're not on it. No sorry, no explanation, just those words. I thought maybe it was sent to the wrong person, waited for a correction, a quick oops, or even a playful emoji. Nothing came. Just quiet. Then my mom's name appeared again on my screen. I opened it. It's not personal. Hope you understand. That line stung more than the first. It's not personal. I'd heard it before. When they forgot my birthday 2 years running, when they went to Yellowstone without me, assuming I was too busy, when my sister's boyfriend of 2 months got a Christmas dinner invite and I didn't. It was always the same. Hope you understand. Hope you're okay with being forgotten. Hope you're fine with being sidelined. Hope you accept that you're just useful enough to clean up their messes. I didn't text back. I didn't ask for clarity or beg for a spot at the party I'd orchestrated. Instead, I scrolled through my calendar, staring at the bookings I'd made for their big day. Catering confirmations, wine deliveries, orchestra schedules, yacht access times. My name was on every email, every contract, every receipt. Yet somehow, it wasn't on the guest list. I set my phone down and stood in my kitchen, unsure of my next move. My hands felt foreign, like they didn't belong. There was no misunderstanding to fix, no error to correct. They'd made their choice. And for the first time in ages, I realized I could make one too. I didn't tell anyone what I was about to do, not my friends, not my siblings, definitely not my parents. I opened my laptop and pulled up the yacht contract. The cancellation window was still open, just barely. I emailed the coordinator, citing a change in plans, and requested the deposit back. Minutes later, I got a confirmation. Next, I contacted the orchestra. The lead violinist had been so kind, even offering to adjust their set when I mentioned budget concerns. I messaged him, explaining the event had shifted, and asked to pause the remaining payment. He responded graciously, saying he understood. The wine was trickier. The sommelier was already preparing the crates. But when I explained the event had changed significantly, she agreed to hold off. No refund, but no delivery either. I could accept that. The flowers, custom ordered and non-refundable, were already in progress. I didn't try to stop them. Let them show up. Let someone else deal with 2 dozen bouquets of white tulips and soft blue ranunculus. That wasn't my responsibility anymore. That night, I sat on a dock near my apartment, watching the water ripple under the marina's faint lights. If I leaned forward, I could see the harbor where the yacht was supposed to leave. I pictured its empty decks, the absent music, the clink of cheap plastic cups instead of wine glasses. And I felt nothing, no anger, no spite, just a calm distance from something I'd once poured myself into. They'd made it clear I wasn't welcome. I just ensured they felt my absence. The morning of the event, my phone started buzzing just after 6 a.m. I was still in bed, the sun barely filtering through the blinds. I didn't answer. My dad's name flashed on the screen, call after call, no voicemails, just persistent ringing. By the 4th call, I flipped the phone face down. By the 7th, I tucked it into a drawer and closed it tight. I knew what was happening. The music hadn't arrived. The wine never showed. The yacht didn't dock. The party was falling apart, and now they remembered me. I spent the next few hours as if I had no obligations. I made coffee, ate slowly, strolled to the corner bakery, and treated myself to a croissant, something I never did when I was busy handling other people's crises. I sat on a bench outside, watching people hurry by with places to go. I didn't think about the party or the moment someone noticed there was no orchestra, no wine. I savored having no role, no checklist, no calls to return. At noon, I turned my phone back on. 11 missed calls, 10 from my dad, 1 from my aunt. It rang again. I let it go once, then answered. My dad didn't shout or apologize. He just asked what happened, like it was a mystery, like I'd acted out of nowhere, like the text saying I wasn't invited never existed. I paused, then said the only thing that felt right. It's not personal. And I hung up. Standing in my kitchen, phone in hand, I waited for the adrenaline rush that usually came with standing up to someone. It didn't come. No wait, no regret, just calm. That phrase, it's not personal, had been their weapon for years, a way to dodge accountability, to brush off hurt. Now I turned it back on them. It wasn't anger, it was a line in the sand. And this time, they were the ones standing outside it. 3 days later, I checked my phone for the first time. No missed calls, no texts, no voicemails, just silence, like I'd vanished and no one cared. Out of habit, I scrolled to my sister's social media and saw she'd shared photos, likely from our cousin Amanda, who treated Instagram like a personal scrapbook. The caption read, "A beautiful celebration for 2 beautiful people." But the images told a different story. No elegant tent, just a scrappy backyard with folding tables and faded plastic chairs pulled from the garage. One photo showed a cooler on the grass, soda bottles floating in tepid ice. Another had a centerpiece of grocery store carnations, still in their plastic wrappers, stuffed into a mason jar like an afterthought. My dad appeared in one shot, standing by the fence, arms crossed, staring into the distance, his dress shirt slightly ill-fitting. My mom posed with her sisters in another, her smile forced, her eyes swollen, a smudge of uneven makeup beneath one. I lingered on the photos longer than I intended, not out of regret, but curiosity, like I was peering into a world I'd been quietly erased from. They had their party. They smiled for the camera, and not one of them reached out to ask why I canceled, or if I was okay. They just carried on, filling the gaps without me. But it didn't hurt. It clarified. Those photos didn't make me long for what I'd missed. They showed me what I refused to carry anymore. They made me tally up every task I'd taken on over the years without question. Driving 2 hours to fix their garage door, reprogramming their thermostat, filing their taxes, because I was good with numbers. 2 years ago, I paid $2,800 for a roof repair after my dad mentioned a leak and gave me a lingering look. I sent the money that night. No one thanked me except my brother, who sent a thumbs-up emoji when the roof held through a storm. I kept their HVAC plan under my name because I'd signed up during a winter emergency. I paid the $315 annual fee without thinking until I saw the charge last month. It wasn't just money. It was my time, my Saturday afternoons, my quiet mornings spent finding the best contractors, the cheapest printers, the best deals on whatever they neglected to plan. It was emotional work, cloaked as helpfulness, never mistaken for love. So I stopped. I logged into every account tied to my name, removed payment methods, canceled subscriptions, cleared reminders. I made calls, closed accounts, handed back responsibilities. It took an entire afternoon, and when I was done, I didn't feel guilty. I felt unburdened. That evening, I picked up a half-finished side table I'd abandoned months ago. I sanded its edges, glued its joints, and ran my hands along its frame. There was peace in building something that didn't demand anything back, something solid, because I chose to shape it, not because it needed me to. For the first time in years, I realized how quiet life could be when I wasn't cleaning up someone else's mess. A message came that afternoon from Amanda. Hey, your sister's saying you ghosted the party, that something's wrong, that they're worried about your mental health. I stared at the screen, unsurprised, but still struck. Ghosted? I'd planned every detail, paid for it, coordinated every vendor, and now I was the unstable no-show. They weren't just erasing me, they were rewriting me. I didn't hesitate. I opened my receipts folder and sent Amanda screenshots, the yacht invoice, the wine order, the paused catering contract, my aunt's text saying I wasn't included, my mom's, it's not personal. I sent them in a clean thread. She didn't reply immediately. Then what the hell? I had no idea. They made it sound like you were unraveling. Unraveling? That word lingered longer than my phone did in my hand. After everything I'd done, the moment I stopped, they didn't ask why. They just crafted a story that suited them. I replied simply I didn't ghost. I wasn't invited. She didn't argue. I wasn't trying to start drama or win sympathy. I just needed one person to see the truth clearly, to let it exist somewhere beyond me. Amanda said she believed me, that it explained the missing wine, the absent tent. They didn't mention any of that, she wrote. Of course they didn't. I set the phone down and felt a shift, not relief or validation, just clarity, the kind that doesn't need to be understood. It just is. 2 days later, my brother texted, "Hey, the internet's out. Dad's freaking out. Know anything about routers?" I didn't respond. The next day, my mom, "Hi, Elra, the microwave's acting weird. Not urgent, but if you have time." I stayed silent. Then my dad sent a photo of the garage door motor, half taken apart, wires dangling, no caption, like I'd see it and rush over. I didn't. I glanced at it, closed the message, and went back to my grocery list. The requests kept coming every few days. Clogged gutters, a printer that wouldn't connect, forgotten tax file passwords. Not one mentioned the party. Not one said sorry. They weren't about reconciliation. They were about maintenance. They didn't miss me. They missed the free labor. And I wasn't providing it anymore. I spent my time on smaller things, building a hallway shelf, visiting a flea market just because, going to bed early without bracing for a crisis call disguised as a chat. They used to treat my silence like a phase, something to wait out. But this wasn't silence. It was a boundary, a solid line they couldn't cross. And when they realized they couldn't, they didn't apologize. They panicked. Amanda texted me on a Thursday, saying she was in town and wanted to talk face-to-face. No pressure. We met at a quiet coffee shop near my place. She looked uneasy, not her usual self, and got straight to the point. "I think your mom's actually going to therapy," she said. "For real? Like weekly?" I asked. She nodded. "She told my mom it started after the party, after you went quiet. She broke down trying to plan Thanksgiving. No one offered to help. My dad told her, we're not doing that again." Amanda said that's when her mom admitted everything, not just the party, but how she treated me for years. Amanda paused, then pulled a folded paper from her bag and slid it across the table. "It's from your dad," she said. I opened it slowly. One sentence in shaky, all caps handwriting I knew well. "I'm trying to learn how to be a dad." No greeting, no signature, just that. But it hit harder than years of their forced smiles or polite excuses. It was raw, clumsy honesty. I tucked the note into my bag and nodded. Amanda didn't push. She just said, "Whatever you choose, I get it," and left it there. That night, I sat at my desk with a blank card. I didn't want to erase the space I'd created, but I also didn't want to dismiss what felt like their first real effort. So I wrote, I'm not ready to come back, but I'm open to something real. I signed just my name, sealed the envelope, and set it by the door to mail in the morning. Months passed and the quiet stayed. No chaos, no guilt-tinged requests, just space. I hiked canyon trails I'd always claimed I was too busy for, cooked meals slowly, built a cedar bench for my porch, and sat on it each morning with coffee, watching the light shift. I slept better than I had in years. Then one day my mom messaged, brief and simple. They wanted to meet if I was open to it. No demands, no manipulation. I thought it over for a few days before agreeing. We met at a small cafe halfway between our homes, neutral territory. They were already there when I arrived. My dad stood as I walked in, an old habit he hadn't shaken. My mom looked weary, but more present than I remembered. They didn't launch into excuses or a rehearsed list of regrets. They just looked at me and my mom said, "We're sorry, Elijah, for treating you like help instead of family." My dad nodded. We should have done better. The words weren't polished, but they were honest. For once, they weren't rushing past the discomfort. I let the silence sit before responding. "Thank you," I said. "I hear you, but I'm not ready to come back." "Not yet." My mom blinked but didn't argue. My dad stared at his hands. I stood, and neither reached for me. I walked away without anger or the need to explain. Some doors don't slam. They close softly, cleanly. And you realize the lock was always yours.